To the students of the Whitwell Middle School. To the students of the Whitwell Middle School. I recently learned from a friend about your paperclip project. I was so moved by the story that I found myself in tears. You've embarked on a journey that begins in the brain but ends in the heart. 6 million Jews will never again dance, love, sing, or learn. But the souls of 6 million Jews will be honored, remembered, and treasured because of your little school in Whitwell, Tennessee, and the tolerance and love that lived there.
My name is Linda Hooper. I've lived here in Whitwell, Tennessee all my life, and I've been the principal of the middle school for 9 years. A lot of people have said that our little town is an unlikely place for what happened. I guess I can understand that. Probably most people, if they drove into Whitwell, would not be terribly impressed. It's a very rural town, about 24 miles northwest of Chattanooga. It's got just 2 traffic lights, several gas stations, and a couple of restaurants. Whitwell used to be a coal mining community, and then about 30 years ago we had a really bad accident, and the coal mining industry just went bust. So now we're what's called a depressed community. But let me tell you something, we're not depressed. We're poor. We're extremely poor. But let me tell you about our children. We have wonderful children. They're respectful, they're thoughtful, they're caring, but they're pretty much homogeneous. We're a community of 1,600 people. However, we really have no diversity. There are no Jewish people, no Catholics, and in our school, we have only 5 black kids, 1 Hispanic child. We're all alike. And when we come up to someone who is not like us, we don't have a clue. So in 1998, we began an adventure. It was no great mission. It was a need. our need.
We were looking to do a project that would involve tolerance and diversity. So Ms. Hooper sent me to a conference in Chattanooga, and I went to this conference and went to many classes to try to find a project that would fit our need.
So he came back to me and he said, you know, if we studied about the Holocaust, think about all the things we could learn. We could surely learn about evil. And we would definitely learn about a culture that was totally different from our own.
And so I went and asked Sandra Roberts, who's the 8th grade language arts teacher, if she would like to help.
When I heard about the project, I was so excited. I couldn't say yes quick enough. We sat down and we decided that our goal was to teach children what happens when intolerance reigns and when prejudice goes unchecked.
So that's what we set out to do, to teach our children that not everybody is white and Protestant and doesn't live in a rural community where they're very protected and loved and cared for. That's all we wanted to do, just a nice, simple thing.
Lessons that you're going to learn from this project. How important it is to treat everybody exactly like you want to be treated. Let's talk a little bit about what's going to happen today.
The first year, which was in '98, I believe, it was just the Holocaust project. The teachers didn't know a lot, but they were trying to teach the kids what they didn't know. They read books, and they watched video clips, saw pictures, and they just tried their best to do what they can.
But I want to remind you before we start that what we're going to cover in this project is very graphic, and if you feel that...
Of course, one of the first things that the kids had to learn, and one of the hardest things for them to comprehend, was that Hitler murdered 6 million Jewish people.
The idea for the paper clips came when a student said, "What is 6 million? I've never seen 6 million." Miss Hooper's like, "Well, neither have I. If you can find something to collect, we'll try it."
So the students began doing some research on the internet. And they discovered that the paperclip was invented in Norway. I never knew that. And they also learned that the Norwegians used the paperclip as a symbol during the Holocaust.
Back in the 1940s, Norwegians wore paperclips on their collar to represent the people who were in the Holocaust at that time.
The Jews had to wear stars that telling people that they were Jews. So the Norwegians wore the paperclip to represent what the wrongdoing was.
Because if they spoke out about it, they would probably get killed or put in a concentration camp.
And they came and they said, can we write some letters to some people we know and to some other schools and to some famous people and see if they'll send us some paper clips?
Miss Hooper said, sure. So we began sending letters out.
We have some from Tom Hanks and from Bill Cosby and from former President Bush and former President Clinton and President Bush.
Dear students, celebrities don't always read their fan mail as they think it's time-consuming. And though I too am guilty of not reading everything that crosses my desk, I was certainly glad that I read yours. I have a very difficult time explaining to any of my 7 grandchildren what the Holocaust was all about. I am a Jew. The whole depravity of what happened in the concentration camps really struck home when I saw pictures of the atrocities perpetrated on the Jewish people. Those pictures are still very much alive in my memories. I'm sending you one paper clip. It is my paper clip. In the future, I will remember your project with every paperclip I come in contact with, as it will be a symbol of what you students are trying to accomplish. I am moved by your endeavors. Bless you, Tom Bosman. I mean, if this is a middle school, we're talking about 8th graders, I guess.
Propaganda has absolutely nothing to do with the truth.
And the stimulation that they're getting from their teachers is really, everyone there should be commended for what they've done.
When I came in here, I didn't really know a lot about it, so it just felt good to be part of something big and learn more about the Holocaust.
Every year, the incoming 8th graders pick up where last year's left off. One of the really motivating things for David and me is seeing the thoughtfulness each new group brings to the project.
Terry Lynn, sitting there all nice and still. Why did you want to be a part of this? Because I know that your afternoons are very full with cheerleading and other things that you do in your life, and this is going to take a huge commitment.
I wanted to do this because I think that this would help everybody stop and make sure that they know somebody before they start thinking and saying. And I know that I do that, and I think this group would really help me.
Very good. Just coming right on up the aisle there.
When I started this project, the person I was is not the person I am now.
What you do with that charisma?
I was a new teacher, still trying to further her career and figure out my teaching styles and what worked best for me, not necessarily what worked best for the children.
What we're going to do is we're going to take all the...
I think you get so engrossed in what can you do to further your career, and it becomes about you.
8th grade. Rumors. We all know what they are. We've all probably have been subject to one or two in our life.
Does that make a difference in the way people think about you and think about me? Oh, yeah, it does.
Sure.
We go for jobbing. When the project first began, I was very prejudiced in many areas and was very quick to judge all races. I was the typical Southern person that quick to judge and quick to stereotype.
That's right.
As a teacher, I guess I'd listened to what everyone had said about kids that age and pretty much had stereotyped children, you know, in my classes. I wouldn't take input from them. I would tell them what I wanted them to know, and that was it.
You're going to come up with some really cool posters.
These children really wanted to understand the magnitude of the Holocaust. That's why the second group, in the fall of 1999, added the paperclip project to their weekly meetings. And with letters and paperclips coming in, it seemed to be catching on.
We first got a shipment of 100,000 paperclips, where they were very excited and they thought they were off to a booming start.
We received that in one large shipment from a gentleman in California, a jewelry designer. And he called and he was all excited. So for a couple of weeks there, we were real excited. Oh, we got 100,000. This is going very quickly.
8,900.
And then we got into a huge lull where we would go weeks and receive 2 letters. And it's really hard to keep your optimism up, your enthusiasm up, and to keep up the enthusiasm of 27 kids. And we were just fiddling with some numbers trying to determine how long it was going to take us to get to 6 million at the current rate. And it was going to take us 10 years. And we just both shook our heads. We knew we didn't have that much in us.
Sandy and I sat and looked at each other and we said, well, if we can collect 1.5 million for the children that were killed, you know, we'll probably be doing pretty good. Towards the end of 1999, I guess the project could have gone either way, but no one was ready to give up on it just yet.
Fortunately, that's when Peter and Dagmar Schroeder came in.
Moonshine.
Yeah, so I mean, hope it's just...
Oh gosh, how do you describe Peter and Dagmar Schroeder?
It's only a beginning.
They contacted us in October of '99, and the letter read, their friend, who was a 94-year-old Holocaust survivor named Lena Gieter, had found